Hello, I'm Rosa, community herbalist at the School of Wild Medicine, and today's topic is herbs for social anxiety. And this is a topic that I have quite a lot of personal experience with because I've had social anxiety for as long as I can remember. I do still feel anxiety in many social situations, but it's now a lot more manageable thanks to some of the herbs and other solutions we're going to cover now in this video. So I'm making this video right now and you're watching it, and that just isn't something I'd have been able to do 2 or 3 years ago because I would have been crying and unable to finish a sentence. So if that's relatable, I hope that you'll stick around and see what helped me to feel less stressed when I'm talking to potentially scary people that I don't know. Also, before we get started, if you've got a health or herbal question on any topic at all that you'd like to know the answer to, then ask me in the comments and I can make a video reply if you'd like. I've been answering health questions for free on the website at theschoolofwildmedicine.com for the past 2 years now, and it is by far the most exciting part of my workday when I receive a notification that someone has asked me a question, so don't be afraid to ask. And I also just want to note that everybody is different, so a herb that works really well to help one person with social anxiety to feel better might actually make another person feel nothing or even bad. So we really need to experiment with which herb we take, in which dosage, and how frequently we take it throughout the day to really find the best herbal matches for each person. And you can look for herbalist recommendations for dosages as a starting point, but just know that it's a very personal thing, and sometimes you're just going to have to experiment with it. For example, the first herbs for anxiety that I ever took was when I was about 19 or 20, and it was a herbal pill for stress relief that was a combination of hops and valerian. And I took it and it made me feel stressed. And I thought, that can't be right. Maybe I'm imagining things. So I kept on taking it, hoping for it to work. And each time it would just give me this specific kind of uneasy, stressed feeling that was different from the usual anxiety that I was experiencing. So I stopped taking that. I found out a few years later that although valerian root is calming and a great choice for anxiety in many people, there's a small minority of people like me where it has the opposite effect, and it makes people feel agitated, restless, and it gives them this new kind of anxiety that they didn't have before. So I heard one herbalist say that it's about 10% of people who are affected like that. So just be aware of that. So don't be put off if you take a herb and it doesn't fully work for you, because you could also be taking too small of an amount. You might need to increase the amount to start feeling the calming effects. A tea bag's worth of chamomile is not going to do much for most people, so you might need a heaped tablespoon of dried chamomile per cup to feel the calming effect. And you might also need other interventions like dietary changes or lifestyle changes, like getting more sleep or cutting out caffeine. You might not be able to reduce the anxiety as much as you'd like just by taking herbs. So that's all things to bear in mind. But with that being said, there are times when taking herbs can have an incredible effect. And when I think of my past self who didn't know all of these herbs, I feel really sorry for her. Because in my early 20s, I was doing things like smoking, drinking tea and coffee, and drinking alcohol as a way to self-soothe and calm down throughout the day. And those are obviously all things that make anxiety much worse long term. But when that's your coping mechanism, you don't really want to give it up, do you? So now I take herbs as just a normal part of daily life, and that usually stops my anxiety from flaring up too high in reaction to things, unless something really crazy happens. The way I most often take my herbs, apart from cooking with them, is to make a litre of nourishing herbal infusion. Right, so I was saying I make a litre of nourishing herbal infusion every day that I drink throughout the day, and I always include nervine herbs in the blend. Nervine herbs are plants that nourish and calm the nervous system. I make a batch in a thermos flask by adding a few handfuls of dried or fresh herbs to freshly boiled water. Then I just leave the herbs in the flask for a few hours, and I strain it off into a cup through a strainer whenever I want to drink a glass of it. And I'll drink it either hot or when it's cooled down. Today I'm just drinking chamomile and rose. I've got it next to me. I just pour it into the cup when I'm ready. But if chamomile and rose are both nervines, and they're excellent choices for anxiety. But if I've been out foraging, then I might pop in some hawthorn leaves, or some pineapple weed, or some dandelion flowers, whatever I feel drawn to at the time. And that's going to add a good variety of nutrition and medicinal effect to help nourish you and make you stronger, so that you can find it easier to deal with these emotions that come up in social situations. So now I'm going to talk about 5 of my favourite nervine herbs to include in your teas or other remedies. So we can start with chamomile, which is probably one of the best known calming herbs in the world, and there's a good reason it's so popular. Chamomile can really reduce the severity of anxiety symptoms, and there's a study from 2016 that I'll link in the description that found that people with generalized anxiety disorder who took chamomile extract for several months had a significant reduction in the intensity of their anxiety symptoms compared with people taking a placebo. Chamomile works in a few different ways. One of its main active compounds is a flavonoid called apigenin, which combines some of the same receptors in the brain that medications like benzodiazepines act on. Now, chamomile is much safer than those drugs, but the overall effect is similar in that it helps to encourage the nervous system to slow down rather than staying stuck in fight or flight mode. Chamomile also reduces inflammation and oxidative stress, which researchers increasingly think can play a role in anxiety disorders. I particularly like chamomile for people who hold their anxiety physically. So if your shoulders are always tense, maybe your stomach feels tight before social situations, or you get a knot in your chest when you're about to speak to someone, chamomile can help relax both the body and the mind. Our digestive system and our brain are closely connected through what's known as the gut-brain axis. So when we soothe tension in the digestive tract, like chamomile is well known for doing, we have to notice that anxiety starts to calm down a little as well. And another one of my favourite herbs for anxiety is lemon balm. Lemon balm is a herb that can take the edge off nervousness without making you feel drowsy or sleepy. So it's really good for taking during the day. Scientists think that lemon balm works partly by slowing down the breakdown of a calming brain chemical called GABA. GABA acts like the brakes in your nervous system. When there's more of it available, your brain isn't firing quite so frantically, and many people notice that they feel calmer and less overwhelmed. Lemon balm also contains calming compounds like rosmarinic acid, which is the compound that's present in rosemary that gets blood circulating to the brain and improves memory. Human studies have found that lemon balm can reduce feelings of stress and anxiety and improve mood and cognitive performance during stressful situations. So if you're someone that gets really tense in anticipation of meeting new people or speaking in front of a group at work, taking a strong enough dose of lemon balm might just be a bit of a lifesaver for you. Another herb that's really worth getting to know for people experiencing social anxiety is passionflower. Passionflower is one of my favourite herbs for that racing mind, where you keep imagining everything that could possibly go wrong to before a social event. So like lemon balm, passionflower appears to influence the GABA system, helping the brain switch from that fight or flight state into something a little calmer. Several clinical studies have found that passionflower can reduce anxiety, and some studies have even found it performed similarly to certain anti-anxiety medications without the side effects that these medications can often have. Many people find that it quietens the mental chatter enough that they're able to face situations that they might otherwise avoid. Another good choice is linden, sometimes called lime blossom. Linden has been used for centuries as a relaxing tea across Europe, especially when someone is feeling tense and unable to unwind. Scientists are still working out the exact mechanism, but compounds called flavonoids and volatile oils appear to interact with receptors involved in calming the nervous system, including the GABA pathway. Linden is one of those herbs that feels very gentle, and herbalists often talk about it feeling like a hug in a mug. It can create a feeling of being soothed and comforted, almost like wrapping yourself in a warm blanket. If your anxiety comes with muscle tension or that tight feeling in your chest, linden is definitely worth trying. And rose is another herb that I use almost every day. Rose is especially helpful when anxiety is tied to emotional sensitivity. If you feel hurt easily, worry what people are thinking about you, or take criticism very deeply, like people with social anxiety often do, rose can help you feel more grounded and protected. Simply smelling rose extracts has been shown in studies to reduce markers of stress. I love adding rose petals to my daily herbal infusions because they're a really good reminder to give yourself some love and nurturing and self-acceptance when you need it. You can take all these herbs with you in your bag as a mini flask of herbal tea, or as capsules of the powdered herb, or as a little tincture bottle. Alcohol tinctures are perfect for this taking with you on the go because they're so fast acting. They get absorbed through the mucosa of your mouth and get absorbed straight into your bloodstream, so you can take the edge off those panicky, overwhelming emotions when you're out and about. You can also prepare a drink with the tincture already mixed in that you can sip throughout the day if you don't want to be squirting tinctures into your mouth mid-conversation with someone. And you can make some really delicious herbal mocktails as well with calming herbs, and you can drink these in the evening and they'll allow you to unwind and relax in a way that's much more effective than alcoholic drinks. Something else that really helps my anxiety levels is to take a magnesium supplement every day. I take 1 or 2 of those. Somewhere between 50 to 90% of Americans are magnesium deficient, depending on which source you look at, because in many countries our soils are depleted of magnesium, so it's not getting into the food. Meeting your daily requirement for magnesium allows you to get much better sleep, which decreases anxiety levels the next day. The type of magnesium supplement that I use is called magnesium glycinate because it doesn't have the laxative effect that other types of magnesium can have. You can also look at eating more foods that are high in magnesium, like leafy greens and seaweed. And of course, there are many more herbs and foods and lifestyle changes that can help with social anxiety. So if you're thinking of any that you'd like to share with people, then let me know in the comments. And I've definitely got more important information I want to share. I just don't want this video to be too long because I want to try and make a video every day. So I'll be putting some more good tips in part 2 of this Herbs for Social Anxiety series. So subscribe if you'd like to see that. And if you'd like to join our Family Herbalist online course, the link is in the pinned comment. So click on that to find out more information. I'd love to welcome you to the school. So thank you for watching all the way through to the end, and I'll see you next time. Bye.